Like many of you, I am still in shock about King Charles' cancer diagnosis, especially so short into his reign. But it did get me thinking, what are the potentials for Prince William becoming king in the near future or even in 2024? So that's what I'm going to be looking at today. I'm going to be looking at Prince William's astrological chart to get an idea of what kind of energies are going to be affecting his personal situation. For those of you that are new to my channel, please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can receive more astrological videos. I practice Vedic sidereal astrology, which is the astrology from ancient India. So it's likely going to be different from what people normally calculate as their tropical astrology sign. So your sign is likely going to be different. If you're interested in a personal private reading, check down below for details and you can get your own reading and find out what type of planetary timeline you are on. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Prince William's chart. Now, I'm going to pull that up right now. Quick disclaimer. Any statements about Prince William, these are all allegedlys, and we're just speculating about the astrological energies. All right. So the first thing I want to point out is there's quite a few videos on Prince William if you're interested, so you can go and look back on my channel. He's a Sagittarius ascendant, and before people comment, this is Vedic astrology. So he's Sagittarius ascendant. Moon is in Gemini. This is actually going to be important to the reading today, the seventh house of Gemini, and we're going to be talking about that in a moment here. Now, in Vedic astrology, we like to focus on planetary timelines. So basically, every moment of your life, you're on a planetary timeline. So even as you're watching this video, you're on a planetary timeline. One of these planets in a chart is always going to be strongly highlighted in any given moment in a person's life. So that's called a Mahadasha or Antardasha. I'm calling it planetary timeline just to make it easier to understand. So that's what we're going to look at. What timeline is Prince William on right now? And so he's in a Saturn Mahadasha, which is the larger period. And then he's in a Rahu Antardasha, which is the smaller sub period. Now, remember, the larger period is more of a generalized energy. The smaller period is more of the acute energy. So Rahu is going to be more of the acute energy that's influencing the situation right now. So basically, this glyph over here, Saturn, we're going to focus on what that means in the 10th house of Virgo. And then we're going to focus on what Rahu means in the 7th house of Gemini. That's why I pointed out Gemini earlier. Let me pull up the slideshow I have for you so you can learn a little bit of Vedic astrology as well. Let's pull this up. Now, I put in the beginning, we found out King Charles has cancer. It could be very serious. If you see my last video, by the way, I do feel like it's a pretty serious situation. Could Prince William become king in the near future is what I'm asking in the slide here. So Saturn Mahadasha, remember we're talking about Saturn Rahu. Saturn Mahadasha, it starts 2010 to 2029. So he's been in this Mahadasha for quite a long time. And this is, like I said, it's just going to give us more a generalized energy. But is this energy itself going to support him becoming king? Now, we're going to get more into the acute energy in just a moment in the next slide. So hang on a moment. Let's talk about Saturn. So Saturn represents responsibilities, it represents obligations. So for sure, what's being highlighted here is if Prince William does become king in the near future, it's going to be uh, done in a way that it feels like an obligation. It's not necessarily a joyful experience. So, unlike people that are really vying for leadership or power in Prince William's chart at the moment, I don't feel like that's the case. So, this would be something that's thrust on him. He feels like, oh my gosh, this is being thrust on me. I thought that this was going to be a lot longer down the road. And wow, this is so soon. So if it does happen, it's definitely going to have that feeling towards it with Saturn. It's also going to feel very heavy. Now, Saturn is in the 10th house of leadership and responsibility. It rules the 10th house of the Navamsa. So let me show you that in the chart really quick so you can see. So Saturn, remember, it's in the 10th house right here. Remember, the 10th house has to do with leadership and power, okay? So we see a lot of people, a lot of times when people become presidents or prime ministers, it's usually a lot of times it's during a period of the first lord or the 10th lord. So the 10th house is definitely being strongly emphasized with Saturn being there. Excuse me. Saturn is with Mars. You're going to notice that. So it's associating these two planets. Now, Mars rules the fifth house of Aries, and the fifth house has to do with royalty. That's quite interesting. So, royalty. So this is definitely just Saturn alone is about leadership, responsibility, and so forth. But it does have that begrudging feeling, like it's just like an obligation. And in Prince William's chart, it is definitely like it's a karmic obligation. It's not necessarily wanted. So maybe he would like more of a quiet family life. Maybe he would like, other things, but he has to do this because he was born into the royal family. Let's go ahead and pull up the chart again, or the slideshow again here. So Saturn, like I said, it's associated with the fifth lord, which is Mars, which is royalty. So Saturn does grant the idea of this prospect of becoming king. Okay, so that's the important thing I wanted to bring up. Saturn is like, okay, we could do this. So that's important. No, that's going to be going till 2029. So regardless of what happens right now between now, 2024, 2029, it's going to feel very serious, lots of hard work, a very difficult time. Saturn's not an easy Mahadasha to go through. Now let's talk about the Rahu period. The Rahu period is more of the acute energy that we're talking about. So the Rahu period is October 2023 to August 2026. Now, Rahu is quite an interesting planet. Let's go ahead and show you where it is in the chart so you can see what Rahu is. Now, Rahu represents the destiny, it represents your soul's desire. Saturn represents karmic obligation. Rahu represents more of like your desires, the things you would really like to achieve. So you'll notice that Rahu's in the seventh house. It's next to the moon and it's next to the sun. So this has got quite a bit of there's quite a bit of meaning in all this. So let's unpack this. What I find very interesting is he just entered this Rahu period in October. So very recently, a lot of times when you enter a Rahu period, within the first 3 to 4 months there, you're going to start having a lot of events happening, bringing in the new karmic script. So Rahu is going to be bringing in a lot of new, unusual experiences to Prince William. Now we're going to talk about the seventh house. First of all, the seventh house is 10th from the 10th. Okay. So it's associated with the 10th house. So there's this thing called Bhavam in Vedic astrology. So 10 houses from the 10th house is the seventh house. So seventh house has to do with your career. A lot of times people think of seventh house as marriage, and it does represent marriage. But I want to talk about something of what it really means. Definitely, we could think about his marriage to the Princess of Wales. That's going to be strongly highlighted during this Rahu period, yes. But seventh house represents vows and covenants. Okay, vows and covenants. So sometimes people will join like religious orders. People will do things like that during a period of the seventh lord. And think about what a coronation is. Coronation is essentially a religious ritual where you're crowned, and it's like a marriage, and there's a lot of vows and promises that are made. So this is quite interesting. Let's go ahead and pull up the slide here. That's what I really want to focus. So that's why, so it's 10th from the 10th, has to do with career, and it also has to do with the vows and covenants. Think coronation, promises and vows. It's similar to marriage. Could there be a coronation between October 2023 and 2026? Absolutely. This chart absolutely shows it. I feel like it's very strongly likely, especially if King Charles Cancer is a very serious situation. This is definitely empowering the situation where Prince William could become king in the very near future here. So Rahu, the other thing let's talk about is Rahu's with sun and Rahu's with moon. Now, Rahu with Sun, and let's pull that up again. I'm switching just so you all can see. So Rahu, we also have to look at the planets. So Rahu's amplifying both of these planets. So if you have planets next to Rahu in your chart, it's amplifying, it's magnifying those planets and their energies. So Rahu's with Moon, it's magnifying that energy. Rahu's with Sun, it's magnifying that energy in Prince William's chart. First of all, Rahu with Sun. Sun is the Karaka of royalty. Royalty, okay? So obviously, power, leadership. So it does show it's destined in this lifetime that there's going to be power and leadership, royalty. So Rahu, oops, my microphone dropped for a second. Rahu with Sun can propel somebody to royalty, power, leadership in an unusual way. Like this might happen through very unexpected circumstances. So, for example, Prince William might have had no idea that his father was going to have this cancer diagnosis. He might have thought that, you know, King Charles is going to live as long as the Queen. The Queen had a very long life, and so maybe this would be coming as very much a shock. Okay, so Rahu, what it does is Rahu can be known as the express elevator as well. And it's sudden forward moves. Okay. So it really does advance your life, but it's kind of scary because your life gets advanced in a kind of scary way. And what Rahu can represent is you're in over your head. So, like, you might be given more responsibility than you're ready for. So that's what can happen in the case of Prince William. Now, let's talk about the moon being the eighth lord. The eighth lord represents surprise, sudden, and shocking events. So this is even interesting as well. So this could be very sudden. Okay. So we really need to watch the news on this situation with King Charles. Now, with King Charles, we haven't been told how serious the cancer is, like what stage of cancer it is, and where the cancer is. We don't know much about it. But like I said in my previous reading, I feel like it's pretty serious based on the astrology. Okay. Make sure you watch that video if you're interested. So look at all these planetary energies involved. So Rahu's already propelling you forward, giving you just these express elevator type of situations. We have the eighth lord, which is sudden and shocking. And then we have the sun, which represents royalty, power, leadership. The seventh house represents vows. It's associated with the 10th house. Absolutely, this could show becoming a king. This is absolutely. And let's go ahead and take a look at the eclipses. Now, I think the eclipses are going to be a time period. Now, it could happen. Rahu's a very a sudden type of planetary energy. I mean, it could happen out of nowhere. It could happen from one week to another that we find out that, something's changing with this situation. But the eclipses are important to look at because the eclipses are a lot of times they're karmic triggers for events in our lives. Okay. And I wanted to point those out to you. So eclipses can be powerful trigger dates. Keep watch around these specific times. So you'll notice as of February, we're very close to the next set of eclipses. Remember, they come in pairs. There's a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse. So March 25th, we have the lunar eclipse, April 8th. So these could be an important time frame right here. So April 25th, March 25th, April 8th. Keep your eyes watching around that time. So there could be something happening, especially with this situation. Okay. Also, we got to look at the end of the year, September 18th and October 2nd. This could also be a potential time of us seeing Prince William given some sort of more responsibility. And I'm going to explain why I see that. So those are the dates to look at with the eclipses, especially this total solar eclipse on April 8th. This is really intense. Okay. So let's go back and let me show you where the eclipses are going to be happening in Prince William's chart. So we have March, April, and then September and October. Those are going to be both dates where we could see something happening. Now, the eclipses are going to be happening in Virgo and Pisces because that's where Rahu and transiting Rahu and K2 are right now. So they're going to be both happening. So both in March and April, and then with in September and October, they're going to be happening along in Prince William's chart, it's the 410 axis. Okay. So that's what you really want to look at in your chart is where the eclipses are happening. It's always happening along an axis that is 7 houses from itself. So think about it. The fourth house and the 10th house are being activated for Prince William. Again, remember we keep bringing up the 10th house has to do with leadership and power because it's happening on this 410 axis. So it's affecting the home life and it's affecting leadership. So, for example, if he becomes king, it's going to affect his home life. He's going to have a lot more responsibilities. He might have less time, with his family. He might be out doing sorts of different speeches, going out to different events, representing the country in different ways. So he might be a lot busier. See, because the fourth house, the energy from the fourth house would be taken away, but then the 10th house would be magnified. He would also have a lot more meetings and things like that that might be taken away from the home life. So the 410 axis is being activated. So this is definitely an energy that could bring somebody to kingship. And watch out for those eclipse dates. I feel like Prince William has a very powerful chart right now for becoming king for 2024 in the near future here. So we'll see. We'll keep track of what's happening with King Charles. A lot of psychics and astrologers, they did predict a short reign. But we still have to watch it and we still have to pray because hopefully actually this doesn't turn out bad. Actually, hopefully King Charles has a long reign. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.